Hi there, I'm Marius, and today we are covering a small use case for subgrids with the Power Pages Client API. Grids in the Client API are a bit complicated because it stacks so many elements, with the grid control containing the grid, which has rows, and each of these rows has attributes and also a grid entity, which in turn would have attributes again that you can read. Therefore, I've prepared some commands already. So we get a form context as always. Then I get the control of reservations down here. So this is the ID of the grid. Then we can go down to the grid, to the rows. Then I get the row number 0. I suggest selecting by ID instead. So let's take a look at the elements. Because every table row has the data ID, which is the GUID of the record. And you will see why I suggest against going by number 0 again later. So then we go down to row data entity to get the entity, and here we can get the attribute. This is the product reservation ID, so this is this column right here, product reservation. And one conscious decision here, we don't have editable grids in Power Pages yet. However, the set value function is still implemented. It won't really change the data in data first, but it will change the display values that you see on the page here. So if we change the product reservation ID to this item in row number 0, so that should be this notebook here in row number 0 with M.R. Patterson, and he will reserve this item just in case someone had the requirement to change the value, because notebook is the current item, and yeah, that's what they want to display here. So let me hit enter. You'll notice now the product reservation for line number 0 has changed, and we could iterate through all the lines and change the value. But I want to show you one thing. That's why I say it's dangerous to get just by number. If I resort, the data is reloaded, and of course it says notebook here again because we didn't really change the backend value. However, if we execute attribute set value again, yes, we again change the item in line 0. So that's why I say, okay, if we had selected by ID, that would have been much safer if we only want to manipulate some rows. Also notice that the grid control has an add-on load function, and the Power Pages Client API does call the functions that you register here whenever there is changes to the rows inside. So for example, navigating between pages, or just like I did, changing the sort order. I advise you to have a close look to the README of the Power Pages Client API, because here is a list of all the functions that are implemented. So I just mentioned add-on load is implemented, but you see, for example, getFetchXML is not implemented simply because I haven't found a property that would return the desired value here. As of recording these videos, the Power Pages Client API is not in a production-ready state yet. However, I invite you to follow along. And if you're interested in a specific function, everything in the Power Pages Client API is open source. So hop on over to GitHub and steal your favorite bits from there.